You know when you're going in, but you got no idea when you're going to get out. Black people go to church on Sunday and get out of these. Come on, Bible study. You should put that in while we was all together the first time. And see, y'all come to church wrong. Y'all come with peppermint. I come with snacks. I got honey balls, Kit Kat, Snicker bar, move from my left back or sit right here. Let him sit over here with me. Let him sit.
I want to welcome comedian Jerry Cooke, better known as Big Daddy Laugh-A-Lot, to my show. Man, how have you been since the last time I seen you?
Man, I've been fabulous, man. Just taking it one day at a time, hey, going through life.
Oh, I know you have, man. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from?
Well, I'm originally from Charlotte, North Carolina, born and raised, but I reside now in Lancaster, South Carolina, and raised by my mom. My father passed away at the age of 12, but other than that, just raised by a strong black woman until she passed away about 30 years ago, and it's pretty much just my life, just going through life and just trying to enjoy life.
Right. Obviously, I got you on my show when I met you and I learned that you were a comedian. My focus with this is on success. And obviously, I know that there's probably a lot of comedians out there or wannabe comedians out there that may want to follow in your footsteps. So this is just to help them or anyone else that may not even want to be a comedian. Well, they might want to do something in life that they may have this fear of doing. But by hearing your story and to where you got to where you are now, that could help someone. So that's my purpose in interviewing you. So what made you choose to get into comedy?
Well, I was always like the class clown, and I used to love to cut up. I just like to see people smile and laugh in general, because you got to understand something. There's so much sadness in the world. Every time you turn on the news, someone's getting hurt or something, going through with family issues, or somebody's always going through something. But if you just take the time out just to embrace life for what it really is, and just laugh a little. Sometimes it can change your whole perspective of a day or whatever else. You just think about something that's funny.
Yeah.
I say, because I used to be one of the cats who used to always be hard on myself.
Right.
But I was like, man, God, I got to do something better.
Right.
And when you lose your job, and the bills keep coming, and I kept going to the mailbox. I was like, this ain't funny no more. I got to do something.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and then it just really started from me being in church and cutting up, and I started like cutting up with people. And we was having a church program, and one of the person that's supposed to be MCing didn't show up. Mm-hmm. So the pastor was like, get Jerry. He always cutting up. He can do it.
Right.
I was like, for real? And they were like, we'll pay you. I was like, yeah, well, you got your man then.
But I'm going to tell you something. I was talking to a friend of mine. Breath stinks so bad, don't burn my eyebrows off. My nose hairs. Eyes were running and water just coming from everywhere. But when I hung up that phone, I said, I'll never call him back again.
I know you're really funny, man, and I've seen some of your stuff. Obviously we were setting up the interview and everything. How did you know you had the right idea? And more specifically, you're a gospel comedian, right?
Yes, I am.
So how did you know you had the right idea to do that?
Well, I didn't know. It was just a step out on faith. And I had a couple of friends. One name was Patrick and one name was Andre. And they was the ones that really inspired me to go. I said, man, why don't you go out and try to go into comedy? I was like, man, I can't do no comedy. They were like, you don't know what you can do. I was like, well, faith without works is dead.
Right.
And so, but obviously when I lost my job, I just asked God, I said, if you gave me this family, I said, where you take me to, I know you'll provide for me. So I need something to do to help take care of my family. And obviously, he answered. And so when he answered and opened the door for me, I just stepped out on faith.
Right. And you've been doing this how many years?
Going on 18 years now.
18 years. And I know, obviously, you travel the country doing it. comedy?
Yes. I've been on the chitlin circuit. I've been in places, you had to have deals to guide you in. And like, come on in. The church back here in the woods. You be like, for real? Who back here? Daniel Boone? So, man, I've been all over the country.
Yeah.
Only a few places I haven't touched down yet, but they're on the radar. They're on my bucket list. So that's California, and a few more places. But California is a big market, that I would love to go out to,
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I know you've been on the road a lot with your comedy over the last 18 years, and I know you've met different comedians across the spectrum. What are some of your fondest memories of being a comedian?
Some of the fondest memories it is when I met other comedians and we all get together and we clown each other. And when they get to roasting each other, and and I mean, it just like, it lights you up. But my best memory is I did a show at this church in Monroe, North Carolina, called Essence of the Cross. And I was doing a youth revival. I actually was doing a youth revival. And 47 young people gave their life to Christ that night.
Wow.
And that was one of the biggest, out of all the things that I have done, that was one of the most fondest memories I had. I mean, because if you just think about that presence of God, that moment in time, when 47 young people walk up at one time and all of them say the sinner's prayer and repent and give their life to Christ that night. And just to know that your testimony helped them and guide them in that direction, and God used you as an instrument to help orchestrate that. Mm-hmm. It doesn't get any better than that, and it made everything that I've been doing in comedy seem worthwhile.
Right. And you knew you were working in acting and you were working in your gift.
Oh, man, that was one of the highlights. And that let me know. And because even in that point in time, I was actually just ready to walk away from it, because it was like, man, I was doing it, but I was like, 1 month I might get one show, then the next month I might not get a show, and then the next following month I might get 2-3 shows. And I was like, man, I got to try to go back to work, Mm-hmm. But when that happened, it changed me. It changed me because it showed me that a merry heart does good as a medicine.
Right.
And they laughed their way to Christ, even though whatever happened after that. But I knew they had an encounter.
Right.
And we both had an encounter.
Wow.
And it was a blessing. And I mean, just to see that, you think about the youth of the day, we always want to criticize them about the things they do and how they carry themselves. But we got to understand that we had a path that we went down. And all of them, ours wasn't squeaky clean.
Exactly.
And, and the best thing about it is it wasn't a pointing finger moment. Mm-hmm. It was a no judgment zone.
Exactly.
It was just an opportunity for them to see that you can laugh, have a good time in Christ, and still know, hey, you ain't got to go out here and cuss to make somebody laugh.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then to get their life to Christ, you be like, what? The Lord did that for me?
Right.
I feel like a little baby Moses or something. What I'm saying? I'm like, all right now. I see you, God. I got you. Yeah, but I love what I do.
Absolutely.
I love what I do.
And you have to love it, You have to love it. And from that love, from what you do with your gift, obviously it's going to put you in the presence of great men. Mm-hmm. And you've been doing this for 18 years. So you saw that path and you followed it.
Well, it's just like anything in life. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Exactly.
Because to me, I don't consider it work. I consider it a joy, because if God allow you to have a gift, that's like some people can go out here and don't even know that they have a gift within themselves. But once they start walking and operating in it, and it was like it's natural. They like, man, because I could go somewhere and I could be somewhere and I could just be sitting and I would see something. I'd be like,
yeah,
and everybody be like, oh Lord, what he don't sing now? And I just start clowning on it. But then, people say you got a natural reaction to, because I just don't try to overdo it.
Right.
I just let God take control, because I always pray before I hit the stage.
Right.
And I'm always nervous.
Right. Exactly.
And they say, man, why you ain't nervous, man? I say, listen. I say, if you're not nervous, it's time to quit, because you don't got it in you.
Exactly.
You're not allowing God to guide you no more. And when you get overconfident in something, you make the biggest mistakes.
Wow.
And never tell a big person they look like they lost weight, because they'll go out here and do something skinny, like get some skinny jeans. I tried some skinny jeans on, walking like this. They thought I had polio. They know what's wrong with you. You just done lost your mind up in here.
Going through your career, did you have to handle any adversity, meaning people that said, you can't be a comedian, why are you wanting to do this? People, the naysayers, or people that just want to put you down because of what they're not doing, but they want to see you following their footsteps, not doing anything in life. Did you ever have anything like that?
Oh, how many times? I mean, and then, people would always, and the sad part about it is, it was people that I thought was in my corner. And I thought the people that had my back. And that was the hurting part about it, because they didn't have enough confidence in me as a friend, a family member, to believe that I could accomplish these things. Was though they almost had me to the point that I stopped believing.
Right.
I was like, no, ain't no way in the world I'm going to sit here and have somebody direct my path that God gave me and put me on. I say, obviously, if the enemy is upset with you about something, and he's always going to have distractions come. And that's when you know that you're on the right pathway to something. Because if there's not no adversities or something coming up against you, it just seems like it's a smooth transition, and there's nothing in your way, you obviously, you're on the wrong pathway. Because see, that way, if you don't meet with an opposition, you never know the strength and the power of God that's in you, that's working through you to let you know that you're on the right pathway. And then, because I was sitting there, man, and it was like one of my friends, he was like, oh man, you don't do no comedy, man. You used to be out here in the streets and stuff. I was like, okay. And I was like, wow. And I was, this guy, I was thought the world up. But when he said that to me, and I was like, why would he say that?
Right. You knew you had to separate yourself from
that right there. And sometimes we don't want to separate ourselves from people because we still want to always see the good in someone. But then sometimes God will move you from that person. I'll move that person from you.
Exactly.
But all of a sudden after that, I stopped hearing from that person. And I seen that person years down the road. And this is how crazy it was. It was years down the road after he had said this. I'm doing a show. It's like 500 people in this place. And the headliner was none other than me.
Right.
Other comedians came out. They was killing it. Everybody just laughing. It's cutting up. And when he heard, said, coming to the stage, I want everybody to get to their feet and put your hands together for your headliner. Man, you should have seen him after the show. Man, I knew you was going to make it. I was like, he you the same rascal just told me. I was like, what? But, it's all good, man. I don't never hold no animosity against anybody, man, because you can't hold a grudge, man, and expect God for you to move on your behalf, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You have to let go, man, and just let God have his way, man. So it's been a beautiful journey through all the ups and downs, the health scares, and all the other things. But it's just something I wouldn't trade for nothing in the world.
Exactly. And the fact that he couldn't see it, it wasn't for him to see. It was for you to see because it was your dream.
And that's pretty much what anyone, if you ever have something that God gives to you, sometimes we have to always understand, I can't see what you see because I'm not looking it through your eyes.
Right.
See, you may have, just like some people can look at the old car, man, I wouldn't take that old car. That old car all beat up. But another man can say, that's a classic.
Exactly.
I could take it and rebuild the engine, get it sand down, get it repainted, and hey, it could be worth a lot of money.
Exactly.
But somebody says, oh man, junk that car. It ain't worth nothing.
Exactly.
But see, it's how you look at something and how you look at it through how God allow you to see something. And what somebody don't see in you doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And it's not for you. But if you will start looking the way and seeing you the way they see you, you'll never get nothing accomplished.
Exactly. That's like if you want to make an analogy of a relationship. It could be a man been no good all his life, but as soon as that right woman come along, clean him up, everybody after him. And
that's the sign. I'm going to tell you something, be honest. Man, when I met my wife, right, I was in prison on work leave. And didn't never think that I would get out the game, change my life, because I was messing with women of my same status.
Exactly.
They was out in the street partying, I was out partying, they was cheating, I was cheating, But when I met her, she started me to go into church. She started me believing in myself. She had me to walk away from all these things. I started mentoring other young cats about telling them about how to get their life together. And then, and now you just got to understand something, just like you said, the same way as analogy with a relationship. Somebody can have you believe in yourself so much that you want to change.
Exactly.
And change for the better.
And that's why you had to separate yourself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's with anybody.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it hurts. And you be like, you be wondering, man, and you be trying to go back and and I was saying,
Yeah. It happens, like I said, friends, family members. It can happen with family members. It's hard to do, but if they don't want anything out of life, why would I want to stay there with you?
But sometimes it's not so. And you know what the sad part about it is? It's not that. A lot of time people say, man, I got haters, man. And they don't want, it's not so much they don't want someone to have something. They don't want what you got, but they just don't want you to have what you got.
Exactly.
But if you give it over to them, that's your fault.
Yeah.
That's your fault. I'm not going to stop my dream or lay my dream down because that's an insult to God.
Exactly.
Because if I ask God to give me a gift, that's something to make provision for my family and to go out here and change my life to help me for the better, and then I turn around and let man document to me, I say something to me to negate everything that God had put in me, that was a waste of time. And God never wastes his time.
Exactly.
And I'm just honored that he chose me to be who I am. People look at me and stare because of my side. I said, but you know what? I started thinking about that. I said, you know what? If I wasn't his size, I would have never came up at that level. But I'm good, and I just thank God, he chose me to be who I am. Sometimes I'll be like, man, I want to do this and that, but in this timing. And that's all I can say, man. It's just in the timing.
Exactly. How do you distinguish yourself from other comedians?
Well, I distinguish myself from other comedians. I distinguish myself as being my own individual, my own style. You know, because a lot of time people make comparison to other comedians that, oh man, he sound like what you call, or he act like what you, I distinguish myself as being unique on how I take approach to the stage and how I take approach to comedy altogether. I don't know if all of them have that same perspective or outlook on how they do it, but what happens with a lot of comedians is instead of them having one common goal to say, let's go out here and just be funny for the crowd, they seem like they in competition with one another.
Exactly.
Trying to outshine each other. But my thing of it is, I never do that.
Right.
Because my thing of it is, I look at, we all got one job to do. And we on the show together, I've noticed a lot of comedians do that. You know, they'll sit back and be like, oh man, he all right. I'm going to go out and kill it. And then when they go out and it don't work out the way they playing, they were like, man, I was going to say this joke. But then, you know, but the whole time, I don't ever get involved with it.
Right.
I just say, God, just guide me. And you do what you want to do, and me. I don't look for competition because it's not about competing with anyone.
Right.
When you have a distinct style, and original, and it's different from anyone else, you don't put yourself in that arena with them.
Right.
You separate yourself. So, and when you step on stage, people will know, man, I like him.
Right.
You know, when when an old 80-year-old lady comes and say, well, baby, I ain't never did one of these little laughing things, but my daughter told me, she said, baby, get on out the house. And I said, well, I ain't wanting to go and be hearing them over there talking all crazy. She said, but you can tell a lie good. I ain't lying. You can tell. I said, well, mama, you got to say that. It ain't that what you're doing, but you do it well. But some of the stuff you would tell her would do, though. I said, yes, ma'am. You know, so, but, you know, I just try to cater to all ages and just try to be myself, man.
With that, how do you define success?
Success is when you're able to get up on stage and know that you have integrity behind what you're doing. And it doesn't always equate to you having how much money you have, but staying true to who you are.
Right.
And not being a sellout for $1. You know what I'm saying? Because I have been offered a lot of money to do secular comedy. Did I want to take it? And I knew, I was like, man.
Money looking good.
I said, boy, that look nice. You know, one show, you know, $1,500 or something like that. I'm like, wait a minute.
Right.
Wait 1 minute. Let me see what's happening with you.
You got my mouth over here watering.
Look at me. 45 minutes.
45 minutes for $1,500.
I just said a few words. You know what I'm saying? But I said I made a promise to God.
Right.
And I say, to me, to be successful is stick to your original plan.
Right.
Trust God in the process. Treat people like you want to be treated. Because you can have all the money in the world and that don't say you successful.
Yeah.
Because you can have a pitiful spirit. You can be tore up on the inside But when you can walk away from a microphone and say, I gave it my all, and they still laughing, boy, he crazy.
Yeah.
You say, that's success.
Exactly.
When you can change the atmosphere, that's success.
Exactly. And with that, what sacrifices have you had to make over the years to be successful in comedy?
Well, it was a lot of times that I had to sacrifice rent money to get to places. Sometimes I was hurting in my body, but I still sacrificed to go when I had a show. And it's like sometimes when you sit there and have to go long trips by yourself, you know, you sacrifice putting yourself on that road and going to somewhere that you don't know. Sometimes you sacrifice even not being paid at events.
Oh, absolutely.
People get there. Well, you know, the ticket sales, it wasn't as good as I thought they was going to be. See, that's a sacrifice. Because, see, right then and there, see, that other person want to show up.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Bible tells us to lay hands on no man suddenly. But you want to throw that out the window. You want to put them on the quickest possible, see if you can get my change up out of you. So, but it's a lot of sacrifice that you have to make and be willing to make those sacrifices without grumbling and complaining about it.
Exactly.
And that's when you know that you have reached the pinnacle of being a comedian.
With your comedy, how do you generate new ideas for your shows?
The audience, the atmosphere. Always before like when I hear other comedians and things that they talk about, they're just like all of us. We have life experiences, and sometimes when you go through certain things in life, and it has a twist on it. But the majority of my new ideas and stuff come from like what I get in the atmosphere. You know, I always ask God to make me aware of my surroundings, and let me vibe off that. You know, and see new ideas. You know, like I be like looking like I can try this. You know, this will be good. You know, because if you always thinking of something innovative and something different and something new and not afraid to step out on it, you know, because faith without works is dead.
Right.
And you got to be able to try to go out, you know, sometimes you were like, yeah, I had one crazy idea that like, it ain't gonna work good.
Right.
And I was gonna put on a big baby diaper and run out there on stage with some boots on. I was like, nah, that ain't gonna do. That's a lot hanging out right there. That ain't gonna do. I'm gonna cut that out of there, you know. But I'm always open for suggestions and stuff. You know, I like to ask questions, and you know, from people around me, you know, that I feel cool, you know, that has my best interest. I like, what you think would be good for this show? You know, that's just like we did the 4 Horsemen of Clean Comedy. You know, they came out wrestling. You mean they used to have the 4 Horsemen?
Yeah.
So we did the 4 Horsemen of Clean Comedy. And so, you know, I was supposed to be Ric Flair. You know, I was the head now, so I was supposed to be Ric Flair. You know, so I say, well, let me be Rick then. Yeah. So, but I'm always looking for new ideas. Sometimes when I go on Facebook, you know, I just put something out there on my page. Sometimes I was like, hey, do y'all have any new suggestions that y'all would like to see done in a comedy show? Something that you have in your area or something, you know, coming up. You know, and I get a lot of great response from it, you know. I did it in the past, you know, some years back, and, you know, it really turned out real good.
Right. And starting out, you know, you've been doing this 18 years, but in the early days, what are some of the mistakes, just to help someone that may be wanting to follow in your footsteps, but what are some of the mistakes that you wish you could have avoided, if you had any, starting out in comedy?
Like if someone never repeat another comic's jokes, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was funny to me, and I try to repeat it, know, something like that. But then, learn to be an original. Learn to create your own platform. And, a lot of people don't open up and be honest about that, because I didn't know. And there was some of the things that a lot of people didn't show me. And a lot of mistakes I made is thinking that once I got to the point where I figured like I had made it, I figured like I'd show up 10 or 15 minutes late, Oh, they ain't worried about it. They know I'm here. Treat it like a job.
Right.
Treat it like a 9 to 5. Treat it like this is your livelihood. And this is how you get paid. People look at professionalism. They look at you being a professional, and you should treat it as such. I was trying to watch other comedians, how they would show up and how they were just like, well, I want all green M&Ms in a bowl, And I was like, I would start trying to make suggestions and stuff, Those are mistakes that a lot of people make because people look at you as being arrogant. Think it's about you.
Right.
And you take your focus off really of who you are. So those are some of the mistakes I made early on. But I thank God I was able to ask God and correct those.
Right.
And that was in my early stages. But after that, no more. Right. And then when I make sure if someone hire me to come do a comedy show, I make sure I'm there on time. They ask me if I need anything. Hey, I'm fine. Hey, if y'all have some water or something, don't go out of your way trying to do anything special for me, because people look as we're already paying you, and we paying you decent just for a small period of time. I don't want to put no added pressure on them.
Right.
Right. So, hey, there's just a few things, that will help you along the way, and just always be courteous, and respect the people that's hiring you. Right.
Well, listen, man, you've given a lot of good information that's obviously going to help a lot of folks that, like I said earlier, to want to either follow in your footstep or maybe branch off into doing something totally different. But I want to thank you so much for allowing me to come down here. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And for the folks that are listening, if someone wanted to book you, how would they get in contact with you?
Well, you can go to Big Daddy Laugh a Lot 63 at gmail.com. That's my email. You can call me at 803-235-1877. I'm reachable. You can go to my Facebook page, Jerry Coogee, inbox me, So, either way, you can go to my web page, And so it's BigDaddyLAL.com. And, you can put your information in and we'll definitely get back in touch with you. But it'd be better if you call me at 803-235-1877. Or you can reach my manager daughter. That's Khadija. And that's 803-235-0327. So if you call any one of us, you definitely get in touch with me and we can go from there. And I appreciate you coming to interview me.
Thank you so much, man.
All right.
It was this pastor and his wife. They had just got this new house. And when they got to the house, the sink was messed up. And he looked at her, and the woman was shaking the sink. She was like, baby, the sink messed up. He said, I am a man of God. Do I look like I have plumber rolled across my forehead? She said, okay. Then she went to the bathroom and the doorknob fell out. She said, it's supposed to be a new house. The doorknob ain't supposed to fall out. He said, but you need to fix that doorknob to the bathroom because you don't want everybody showing up. He said, I am a man of God. Do I look like I have carpenter wrote across my forehead. She said, okay, don't even worry about it. He said, well, when I come back, we'll talk about that, getting that fixed. But when he came back, the sink was fixed and the door. He said, well, how did the sink and the door get fixed? She said, you know that big muscle-bound dude who stayed next door? He fixed the sink and the door. He said, well, how much did he charge us? She said, well, he didn't charge us nothing. He said, he done it for free? She said, well, not exactly. He said, what do you mean, not exactly? He said, I can do one or two things. He said, what is that? He said, I can make him a red velvet cake or commit adultery. He said, what did you do? She said, do I look like I got Betty Crawford across my forehead? So the more that story, you gotta have your baby before you leave.